Woohoo! Gathers it up. Hey everybody, Craig Lieberman coming back to you with another episode. This week I'm going to be talking about the Nurburgring. Most of you know it, some of you have been there, and pretty much everybody else wants to be there. It's one of the world's most famous racing facilities. It goes back as far as 1907. That's even before I was born, if you can believe that. That story is coming up right after the break. I don't know if you know this, but I actually now have a merch store, and if you haven't checked out the video description below my videos, then you're missing out. Currently, I've got a pack full of movie quote t-shirts, and more styles are being added every month, and new items are in development right now. So have a look, see if there's anything you like, and wear it with pride. The link is in the video description below. The Nordschleife was created in the 1920s, and that's the track that we know. Then in 1953, the ADAC 1,000 kilometer Nurburgring race was introduced, and also an endurance race and sports car racing event that counted towards the World Sports Car Championship for decades, and that's the way it's been for a very long time. By the late 1960s, the Nordschleife and many other tracks around the world were becoming increasingly dangerous for the latest generation of F1 cars. If you ever saw the movie Rush, you know what I'm talking about. Then in 1967, a chicane was added before the start-finish straight called the Hohenring, I think. I can't pronounce that word anyway. In order to reduce the speeds at the pit lane entry. This made the track about 27 yards longer. Not much, but even with this change, however, it just was not enough to keep Jackie Stewart from calling this track the Green Hell. And he's the guy that was responsible for that nickname. Then the 24 hours Nürburgring for touring car racing was added in 1970. And then in 1984, a Grand Prix track was built. And that was where I was last week. And so over the years, car manufacturers started going to there to use this track to test their cars because it was a known entity. Everybody knew the track, and that was a good barometer for all these cars. For car hobbyists just like me, it's our Mecca, it's our Vatican, it's a holy place, a place to honor the great racing drivers that have showcased their talents for decades with their death-defying laps and super fast lap times that seem superhuman. I had only been to the track in my whole life once back in 1998. I got a ride in the Nordschleife in a E39 M5, which was pretty much brand new for that year. It was the year after it came up. The driver was driving conservatively, so we finished under 10 minutes, but the professional guy who road tested that car got out something around 8 minutes. But I never forgot that experience. And going around that track with a professional driver or competent driver is a big thing. And if you've never done it, you need to do it. So recently I started going to Germany for car shows on behalf of Chrome Cars, and on the most recent trip, they were kind enough to set up a date for me to get to the track. And so they shuttled me down there, and there I met a nice young lady called Cassandra. She is one of the big bosses of the German Time Attack, and it just happened to be going on that weekend. Unfortunately, it was kind of rainy, it was drizzly, it was cold, the track was cold, everybody was cold. This event though includes a drift competition, a car show, and of course the Time Attack finals. So there was so much going on that day, I was being pulled one side to the other, but it was fantastic. One of my other friends who I hang around with from Chrome Cars is a guy by the name Benny. Benny, he seems to know everybody in Europe. He knows many of the competitors, and together with Cassandra, these two friends introduced me to many drift teams and Time Attack competitors. Among them was the NC2 racing team. These people were wonderful. They let me hang out in their garage. This team is running amongst other cars, a Porsche GT3 RS. I met one of the drivers, he's a nice chap called Chris, and he offered me an opportunity to ride along his session. What am I gonna say? Toss me a helmet, strap me in, let's go. The track temps were just a few degrees above freezing. Light drizzle was on and off all morning, and the air was filled with moisture, and it was cold to the bone. The rear wheel drive GT3 RS was going to be fighting for grip, but I was up for it, man. Let's go, let's go. So we got through the first couple of corners when the car started to step out of shape. At one point, as you see here, despite Chris's slow and careful application of throttle, the car started to spin, but he managed to gather it up and off we went. And it was like that for the next 20 laps or so, because A rear-wheel drive car with making 500 horsepower on hard tires in the rain is not very good way to get good lap times, but everybody was struggling. But for me, it was a once-in-a-life opportunity, and I just held on for the ride, and it was absolutely fantastic. Not to be bragging, but I also got to ride with a championship drifter. My driver is a chap by the name of Sinan Arslan, and he was a drift champion, I think, back in 2019 or 2009. I don't remember exactly. So much was going on that day. But if you've never been in a drift car with a professional drifter, you can't imagine how violent it can be. As long as you're looking where you're going to go, you're not going to get sick. But if you don't, you're probably going to get sick. Drivers have to have fast hands, fast feet, and great coordination, and a capable car, most of all, and a great team of mechanics. And this guy had all of that. So the whole experience was really, really cool, and I'm so thankful for all my hosts. Part of the experience is the gas station just outside of the track that has a sign that says "Photo Verboten," which means it's forbidden. Why? Because many manufacturers test their top secret cars there that they don't want to be released unofficially, and they want to do it properly. So that was cool to be standing there. I've seen pictures of that, believe it or not. But I didn't take any pictures because I'm a foreigner in a host country, so I got to play by the rules anyway. But not to be missed, if you're going to go to the Nurburgring, is the official hotel called the Dorint. D-O-R-I-N-T. Most of the rooms have a view of the racetrack. The whole hotel is car themed, from the tire track on the carpets, maps of the tracks on the walls, and of course, pictures of famous race car drivers going back nearly 100 years. Unbelievable history right there. And it's humbling, and it shrinks a man's ego. All of that was an amazing experience. There are two tracks at the facility. The Grand Prix circuit, which is a 5.1 kilometer track, and of course the Nordschleife, which is about 20 kilometers or so. But during the 24 hours of Nürburgring, they combine the two tracks, making one big track that comes out to about just 25 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken. And most of you know, anyone can drive on the Nurburgring for about 30 euros. So I'm going to give you a few tips so that you can have a good experience at the Nurburgring if you decide to go, because there's many different ways to experience. But number one, you should go during the summer. Going in the winter or fall will hamper your trip. It's cold there. The track is in a valley. It's always cold, especially during fall and early spring. There's a lot of moisture in the air, which usually turns into rain, but makes everything cold, and it makes tires cold, and you're not going to have your best experience if you go at that time. The best time really is when temperatures are moderate and dry. So that should be pretty easy to remember, because that's what we want every time we go racing. Do your homework before driving the track. Practice on video games. I know it sounds silly, but it's a good way to try to memorize the track and the braking markers to some extent, but you've got to remember you're playing a video game. It's not going to be the same in a real car. Be realistic about your skills when you get to the track. No matter if you rent a performance car or you bring your own car, make sure that your car has been inspected to make sure that everything is safe. The brakes are working properly. There's no problem. There's no leaks. There's no, the tires aren't bald, all that kind of stuff. And then when you get on the track, don't overdrive the car. Street tires and street brake pads will not get you a 6-second lap time, no matter how good you are. If you're renting a performance car at the track, take a look at the insurance options. If you're driving your own car, you can get track insurance from one of these companies. I'll list them right here, and they'll be in the description below, so you can take a look at the policies and what they do. Read the fine print, check it all out. But you'll find that you can't get 100% insurance, so any policy you buy, you will only reduce your liability. In other words, part of the damages or loss will be picked up by the insurance company, but the rest will have to come out of your pocket, like the damage to the Armco, or if you hit somebody else's car, or God forbid if you kill somebody. And remember, if you hit a wall or an Armco, you're going to be responsible for those damages too. So once you're on the track, of course, keep your eyes up. Don't overdrive the car, right? I said that before. Check your mirrors often. If a car is coming up on your ass, hit the turn signal and move to the right. Don't pass on the right. Move to the right when the faster car approaches. Turn on your turn signal and do it safely and slowly. Honestly, it's best to ride with an experienced driver coach for the first few visits until you start to know the track better. And that's going to take many, many, many rounds to do that. You can't get it after 2 or 3 laps, but if you go back often, you'll get it sooner or later. And most important, have a backup plan in case your car breaks down or if you have an accident. Who's going to pick you up there? Who's going to tow your car? How are you going to get back to the airport? All those kind of things. Have a plan in place. If you just want to go to fast around the Nurburgring, you can rent a ring taxi for as low as about 349 euros. That includes a full lap and a BMW M5 Club Sport, which will be fantastic to do it. You can also drive in a ring taxi with a trained co-pilot for as little as 319 euros. If you want to just rent a car like a Cayman 718, it'll cost you about 890 euros, and you must ride with a co-pilot. But if you are a true car enthusiast, you need to go there. You need to convince your wife to go on that trip. Basically, I worked it out with mine here. I would tell her, how would you like to go to Bavaria in the summer? So we'll fly into Dusseldorf, and then we would take the car all the way down from Dusseldorf all the way down to Zurich. She hasn't said yes, but she hasn't said no. But that might be a way to get that wife or girlfriend to go with you. So if you get a chance to do it, I really recommend it. It's a great group of people, great track. It's got nice hotel, great food right down the street all around. It's a little bit of a drive, a little bit out of the way, about almost 2 hours from about Dusseldorf, depending how fast you're driving. But it is a pretty drive, especially if you compare it to California. I had a great time over there. I thank everybody who participated with my experience, and I can't wait to go back next spring. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next week when we talk about the Too Fast, Too Furious Skylines and whatever happened to them. Where are they now? How much are they selling for? Yada, yada, yada. And that's going to be a great update. So follow me. Make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. This, it helps with my algorithm and moves my videos up. Thanks very much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time.